He opened the door because the sound wouldn't stop. Low humming, same 4 notes, not loud, not desperate, just familiar. It pulled like a thread from the base of his skull to the edge of the porch, where 2 girls stood barefoot in the dust. The older one, maybe 16, had a square jaw and eyes that didn't move much. The little one clutched her hand, face half hidden under a mess of hair and dirt, one cheek bruised green-yellow. He stared. They didn't flinch. The humming kept going. "Where's your mama?" No answer. "Where'd you come from?" The older one blinked, slow. The younger girl stepped forward, lifted her chin. "We're not lost." "You're not welcome either." The teen said, "That's her song." His throat tightened. "You know it," she added. "Don't lie." He looked past them, out to the dirt path winding toward the woods. No cart, no bags, no man. Just 2 sets of bare feet and the dead weight of August. "Are you hungry?" They didn't answer, but their eyes moved when he stepped back from the doorway. "Don't touch anything." The older girl guided the younger in. Their steps didn't echo, didn't creak. He watched the way they scanned the place. Stove, table, the chair no one sat in anymore. "Are you deaf or just stubborn?" The older girl sat down first. "You got bread? No names?" "Not yet." He went to the counter, cut 2 slices, poured water. The younger one whispered, "We know this house." He froze. The older girl met his eyes. "We came because she used to hum on the porch. She kept time on the rail." He swallowed hard. "You knew her." "Did you?" He didn't answer. The younger one kept humming, that same loop. No words, just breath and melody. She tapped the rhythm against the table, same as his wife did when thinking, when angry, when praying. He stared at her hand. "Where'd you learn that?" She sang it while bleeding. The room went still. He dropped the knife in the sink. "Get out." The older girl didn't move. "She came here after the trial, right?" "I said get out." "You left the porch light on every night for 7 years." He slammed the cupboard. "You think that means something?" The younger one slid from her chair. I walked toward the hallway. He barked, "Hey." She pointed. "That's where she walked before the baby died." He stepped in front of her. "You don't know what you're talking about." The teen rose. "You think ghosts don't talk?" He pointed to the door. "Out, now." She held his stare. If she was a ghost, why does her song still work? He blinked. Silence. Then the child whispered, "She said he'd be scared." He stepped back, one hand on the table, the other shaking. "You're not hers." "No," the older girl said. "But she sent us." He backed into the chair, sat hard. It didn't rock. It hadn't rocked in years. Not since the day she walked into town and didn't come back. No note, no blood, just the badge tossed in the stove and the porch left empty. "You're playing a game." The older girl crossed her arms. "You think we'd come here for fun? She's dead. She's waiting." He clenched his jaw. "What do you want?" The younger one slid into the chair beside him. "Food, sleep, then the well." "What well?" "She said the truth fell in." His mouth went dry. "Get out." The girl stood. "We're not ghosts." The teen added, "But you might be." He rubbed his temples. "What do you think you're doing here?" "We're not here for you." "Then who?" The older girl pointed to the back wall. "She left something behind." He followed her eyes to the window, nothing but trees and sky. "You're not digging anything up." "We won't need to." "Why?" "Because she's already digging." The humming started again. He flinched. "Don't." She sang it with her hands full of blood. "Stop." She sang it when you wouldn't speak. I said stop. The teen didn't blink. She sang it when they hung the verdict on her neck. He slammed his fist into the table. "You think I don't know." The chair didn't move. The walls didn't shake. Only the humming stayed, steady and thin. The younger one whispered, "She said the house forgot her." The teen said, "We're here to remind you of it." He stood, hands on his hips, breathing shallow, looked at the floor, at their feet, dirty, blistered, cracked. "Where are your shoes?" "We lost them." "How?" "She said we wouldn't need them here." He sat back down. The child leaned close. "She said you'd open the door." "Why?" "She didn't think you'd believe." He stared at the fireplace, cold, dusty. She used to burn sage in it when her hands shook, said it kept bad spirits out or kept the truth from boiling over. He never asked which. The girls stood quiet now, watching him. "You can stay the night." They didn't thank him. But no humming. They said nothing. He nodded toward the stairs. "Room's upstairs. Don't touch anything in the dresser." The older girl nodded, took the younger's hand. She paused at the first step. "You know what the song means, don't you?" "No." "She said it was what you sang before you broke something too big to fix." He looked away. The stairs creaked once, then silence. He stood, moved to the porch, sat in the rocker. It didn't move. He watched the dust settle. The song played in his head anyway. He set the boots down by the kitchen chair. They were scuffed but clean, polished just enough. His wife's, once, worn on muddy trials through burned orchards, even to church once when the preacher called her girl, and she didn't come. Back. The teen looked at them, didn't blink. "They're her size," he said. She didn't sit. "We don't walk far. It's rock out there. You'll tear up your feet. We're used to it." He crossed his arms. "Boots aren't poisonous. They're hers." "So?" The girl ran her fingers along the edge of the table. "We don't borrow from ghosts." "She's not—" "You sure?" He didn't answer. The younger one sat quiet near the stove, picking at a thread in her sleeve. "She doesn't talk much," he said. "She doesn't sleep much either." He nodded once. "You want to stay? Fine. But I don't want to sneak. No opening doors, no checking drawers." "We didn't ask to stay." "You stayed anyway." The teen's voice dropped. "You left the door open." He exhaled hard. "Fine. No boots." She turned before he could say more, led the little one up the stairs. He watched the boots for a long while, didn't touch them. The locks clicked 3 times that night. He didn't move, but he heard it. Front door, back latch, then the cellar bolt. Footsteps, soft, not barefoot, heel to toe. Careful, not hers either. She never checked locks. She waited for things to open. He rolled over, faced the wall. "You ain't my problem," he muttered, but the house disagreed. A thud echoed, then silence. He sat up. The floor was cold. The rocking chair didn't creak. He stepped into the hallway, slow. The air was thick, like smoke without smell. He crept toward the stairs. Halfway down, he saw her, the teen, crouched by the front door, hand on the lock, listening. "What are you doing?" She didn't turn. "Making sure." "Of what?" "That nothing comes in." He narrowed his eyes. "No one comes out here." "Then you're not listening hard enough." "You wake the kid." "She never sleeps. She watches." "Watch what?" The girl stood. "Where the light changes." "What light?" She looked toward the far hallway, the one they never used. "Don't go down there." "I didn't." He stepped closer. "Don't lie." "I listened." "Same thing." She moved past him, light on her feet. He followed. "That hallway's shut for a reason." "She knows." "Who?" "Your wife." His jaw tightened. "Go to bed." She paused on the steps. "We're not here to haunt you." "Then what?" "To find out why she didn't." The girl cried around midnight, not loud, just enough to scrape the air. He sat by the stove, didn't go up, just listened. It came in waves, not like nightmares, more like remembering, like things too deep for words trying to push out anyway. He thought about calling up, thought about whiskey, thought about how long it had been since he'd felt anything but ash. The crying stopped. Silence wrapped the house again. He looked at the boots. Still, untouched. He woke to the sound of humming, not in the room, not from upstairs, from the hallway, the far one, where no one lived, where the floor hadn't been swept since she vanished, where the door stayed shut, hinges rusted over. He stood barefoot, didn't grab the lamp. I walked slowly. The song was low, wavering. He stopped in the kitchen. It came from behind the hallway door. Same 4 notes, same breath pattern, not a girl's voice. Not quite hers, either. He pressed his palm to the door. Cold. Damp. The humming stopped. He waited. Nothing. He stepped back. The teen stood behind him. "You heard it." He said nothing. "It's not us." "I know." "She's asking." "For what?" The girl didn't blink. "To be found." He stared at her. "You don't know her." "No." "Then stop acting like you do." She nodded once. "She said you'd say that." His breath caught. "Are you lying?" "No." "Then how?" "She taught the song to someone." Who? Someone who didn't forget. The girl turned, walked back to the stairs. He stood there long after. The boots stayed where they were. He didn't move them. By morning, the front door was locked, but the hallway door stood open, just an inch. She knelt in front of the cold stove with her sleeve over her mouth, coughing through layers of ash. It wasn't the fire she was after. She scraped at the grate with a bent fork, slow, methodical, like she already knew something was down there. He stood in the doorway with his arms crossed. "Are you planning to cook something or burn the place down?" She didn't turn around. "It's under here." "You shouldn't be touching that." "She left it for someone." He stepped in, boots heavy on the wood. "Left what?" The fork scraped again, then stopped. Her hand dipped in and pulled something out, wrapped in scorched cloth. She unrolled it slowly, then held it up toward the kitchen light. It was his wife's badge, warped, burned black on one edge, but the star was still there, the lettering faint but clear. "Deputy," the younger girl whispered from the corner. He didn't move, just stared at the metal like it might speak. "She wore this?" the teen asked. "Yeah." "Why'd she burn it?" He looked away. "'Cause men don't listen." The teen stood. "That's why she left too." He stepped forward, took the badge from her. "Hold it in both hands." They made her choose, stay quiet or stay alive. Sounds like they didn't care much either way. No, they didn't. The little one wandered over and stood beside her sister. "Did you help her?" "I tried." "Not hard enough," the older girl said. He didn't respond. She stared at the stove. "You knew it was in there." "I looked, after she left, tore the whole place apart." "Why didn't you find it?" "Guess I wasn't supposed to." The girl watched him turn the badge in his palm. The metal caught the lantern light and flared for a second, then dulled again. "She didn't bury it," she said. "No." She folded it in cloth and hid it where heat touches everything. She was saying something. She was always saying something. No one heard. He set the badge down on the table. It clanked against the wood, heavier than it should have sounded. "She fought for a girl once," he muttered. "Little one found buried in a ditch. Her daddy was the preacher. She pressed charges, spoke out loud in front of every man in that courthouse." The teen's jaw tightened. She had to walk home through the same field they found that girl in, alone. Not one deputy walked with her. The younger girl asked, "Did you?" "I was already home, thinking the firewood needed splitting." "Will she come back angry?" She came back shaking. The room went still. "She scratched her name inside that stove," the teen said. "With her nails." He froze. "I saw it when I pulled the badge." He crossed the kitchen fast and dropped to his knees, opened the door wide, reached inside and felt along the inner wall. The surface was rough, coated with years of ash and rust, but beneath that, a faint pattern, letters, worn, shallow. But there, he brushed it with his thumb. "God." The teen crouched beside him. "You never checked the inside." "I didn't think." She thought of everything. He stood slowly, wiped his hands on his jeans. "You say you came here by accident." "We didn't." "Then why?" "She wanted us to see what stayed behind." "What's that mean?" "You'll figure it out." He looked at the badge on the table again. She wasn't afraid of dying, just being erased. "Most women are." He picked up the badge again. It was warm now from the stove, from their hands, from whatever it meant. "They tried to silence her." The teen said, "And you watched." His grip tightened. The little one wandered back to the doorway and pointed toward the hallway. "She's still humming." He followed her finger. The far hallway was dark, untouched, the kind of dark that held memory. "She sang when she was angry," he muttered, "or when she was alone." The teen whispered, "She never stopped being either." He turned back to the stove. "She should have burned this whole house down." The girl shrugged. Maybe she did, just not with fire. That night, the air inside the house pressed down heavier, windows fogged without reason. The younger girl cried in her sleep, fists curled tight against her chest. He sat by the stove, badge in his hand, watching the flame he didn't light. Footsteps creaked from the upstairs hallway. Not the girl's. Too slow, too steady. He waited. The stairs didn't groan. The floorboards didn't shift. But something passed behind him, like the weight of someone who used to know the shape of this house. The badge burned in his palm. He didn't let go. Later, the sisters came downstairs, silent, eyes wide but not scared. She asked something, the teen said. What? What kind of woman disappears without a fight? He didn't answer. The girl waited. Do you think she gave up? He looked down at the badge again. No, he said. I think she let them think she did. The younger girl crawled up beside him so she could finish what they started. He didn't speak. The badge sat between them, cold again, but still there, still marked, still waiting. He dragged the bundle out of the shed just past dawn, wrapped tight in canvas and years, shirts with torn seams, a skirt with dried mud across the hem, an apron still stiff with oil. They'd sat untouched since the day she left. No one had dared burn them, not even him, not until now. The fire pit was stacked and waiting. Dry branches, crumpled newspaper, old fence slats. The kindling caught fast, but the flames stayed low. No roar, no heat, just a whisper. He knelt and dropped the first shirt in. The fabric curled, but didn't burn. Just smoked. Behind him, the older girl stood with her arms crossed, watching, silent. He tossed in the skirt. The fire hissed. It's green wood, he muttered. She said nothing. He threw in the apron. The smoke turned thick and gray, choking up instead of rising. He stepped back, eyes stinging. The girl still didn't move. Fire don't lie. He wiped his face. It's damp, that's all. No, it's not. It's just old clothes. They're not hers. He looked over. What? She didn't wear those things. He turned back to the fire. You wouldn't know. She said she never wore skirts after the verdict, said she burned them herself. He said nothing. The smoke thickened, rolled low across the grass like fog without direction. He grabbed a stick and prodded the pile. The flame spat at him, then pulled inward, shrinking. She's still here, the girl said. She's not. She's waiting. For what? The girl took a step closer. For you to admit it. He stood. Admit what? That you buried her truth with things that never belonged to her. He stared at the fire. I kept them in case. In case of what? In case she came back. The girl's voice dropped. But you tried to burn them. Because she's not. Then why won't it burn? He didn't answer. The younger girl appeared behind her sister, eyes wide, fingers curled around the edge of her dress. She stepped toward the smoke and knelt beside the fire. He watched her. Don't get too close. She pointed to the ashes. She's cold. He blinked. What? She used to sit here. That was years ago. She still does. The older girl knelt too, picked up a charred button and held it out. You kept her fire pit, but not her fire. He took the button from her, held it in his palm. It was scorched, but unbroken. She said, you never knew how to light it right. He looked down at the smoke swirling around his boots. You build fire from the middle, she said, not from outside. She always did it backwards, he muttered. Backwards worked. He kicked at the base of the pit. I tried. You tried to erase it. I tried to move on. She didn't. The younger girl whispered, she's watching. He looked around, uneasy. The smoke shifted, pulled toward the shed, not upward. He stepped back. I need to breathe. The teen stood slowly. She said you'd choke. What? She said the air wouldn't let you forget. He turned to her. You keep saying, she said, like she talks to you. She left pieces. You buried them. He knelt again, stirred the ash. Beneath it, something hard. He dug it out with his fingers, a half-melted pin. Her trial pin, the one she wore when she read the names of the dead girls aloud to the sheriff. He hadn't seen it in years. She threw this away. No, the teen said. You did. He swallowed hard. I didn't know. You didn't look, the younger one whispered. You didn't listen. He closed his hand around the pin. It was sharp. It bit into his palm. She stood right here the night before she left, he said. Hair braided tight. She wouldn't look at me. The teen waited. She asked if I'd testify. Did you? He shook his head. I told her it wasn't my fight. The girl's voice didn't rise. Then it became hers alone. He stared at the smoke. She said fire told the truth. Now it's yours to hear. He looked up at the two girls. She didn't hate me. No. But she stopped needing you. The fire snapped suddenly. A single flame flared, swallowed part of the skirt, then died out again. She wants the truth. the child whispered. He nodded. So do I. She left it. Where? The teen turned toward the house. You're standing in it. He picked up the apron again, held it to his chest. The scent still clung faintly. Soap, sweat, ash. I thought these things were all I had. They're not hers. The teen said again, You kept what was easy. He dropped the apron back in the pit. The fire caught for a second, then hissed and went black. She wants more than flame, the girl said. He looked at the pin in his palm, let it drop into the ashes. She wants you to speak, the younger one whispered. He looked at them. I looked at the house. I will. He stood. The fire was dead, but the smoke stayed, still moving, still reaching, still pointing home. He watched it from the kitchen window all morning. The rocking chair, still, balanced stiff like someone sat down and never leaned back. Used to be, that chair moved on its own. Night wind, floor groans, maybe something else. It didn't matter. It rocked, but not since they came. Something wrong with it? The teen asked behind him. He turned. Did you touch it? No. Not even once. I wouldn't sit where she bled. He blinked. What? That's what she said. Last night. He stepped back. You weren't there. The girl shrugged. She told me. He narrowed his eyes. She tells you everything. She tells enough. He stared at her, then back at the porch. The chair hasn't moved in 5 days. Maybe she's waiting. For what? For you to remember. He opened the door and stepped onto the porch. The wood creaked under his boots. The chair didn't flinch. He walked past it, touched the backrest. Dry, warm from the sun. He nudged it with a finger. Nothing. You think I'm scared of a chair? He snapped. The younger girl sat on the steps, tracing lines in the dust. She cried here. No, she didn't. She bled here. Stop. She rocked through it. He turned. Who told you that? The older girl said, She needed somewhere still, so she made it move. He kicked the floorboard. Y'all think you're prophets? We're listeners. He dropped into the chair hard. It groaned. Didn't move. He shoved back. It didn't rock. The wood resisted. See, he muttered. Dead wood, nothing more. The teen crossed her arms. You don't get to call things dead just because you stopped feeling. He stood up again. She sat here when I left for town. Every morning. She sat there the night they followed her home. He looked away. She told you that too. She said it was the only place that didn't shake. He stepped off the porch. I'm done. He walked to the barn, hands tight at his sides. Behind him, the chair sat still. That evening, the wind came, dry, dust sharp. It lifted the edge of the rug inside, rattled the tin above the sink. But the chair didn't move. He sat by the window again, arms crossed. The girls said nothing, ate their bread in silence. After a long while, the teen spoke. You watched her cry from that window. I watched her breathe. That's not the same. She didn't cry in front of me. She did after. The younger girl stared at the flames in the stove. She told me blood sounds different when it hits wood. He closed his eyes. Enough. She said the porch drank it. Stop. She said the chair held her up. His hand hit the table. She didn't die here. No, the teen said, soft. But she broke here. He stood. I walked out the door, onto the porch, faced the chair again. You got a lot to say now, don't you? He said. The chair stayed still. Didn't say a damn thing when she needed it. He paced. You let her bleed alone. She wasn't alone, the girl called out. You were inside. He spun. I didn't know. You didn't ask. He turned back to the chair, put both hands on the arms. I carried her inside. But you left the blood. He sat again. Why'd you never clean it? The older girl asked. I couldn't. Why? I thought if I left it, she'd come back. Did she? He didn't speak. The wind moved past him, hot and hollow. The chair didn't budge. The girl stepped out onto the porch, barefoot. She needed this chair to move. Now it won't. She's gone. She's waiting for you to say it. He stared forward. She sat here, he whispered, and I stepped over her, said I'd be late to town. I heard her breathing funny. I just thought, you didn't think. I thought it'd pass. She thought you'd stay. I left. The girl sat on the top step. So did the chair. He looked down. The blood had faded over the years, but the wood grain was darker there. A soft dip, like the chair leaned inward, still holding weight no one else could see. He reached forward, rocked it again. It didn't move. He leaned all his weight, still nothing. "Have you ever fixed it?" the girl asked. "No." "Then maybe it's not broken." He let go. "She said grief isn't what we feel," the girl said. "It's what refuses to move." He stood slowly. "She said that?" "She wrote it." He looked at her. "Where?" The girl nodded toward the cellar. "Under the stairs." He turned toward the house. Behind him, the chair made one soft creak. He stopped, turned back. It didn't rock, but it had shifted, just an inch, like it hurt him. They found the well behind the barn, covered in a slab of rotted wood and rusted nails. He hadn't touched it in years, claimed it went dry 2 summers before she vanished, claimed it stopped giving water just when they needed it most. The teen pulled the slab off like she already knew what was underneath. He watched from a few feet back. "Don't get too close. It's not water I'm after. It's deep." So was she. The younger girl stood silent beside the stones, eyes fixed downward. The air above the well felt different, cooler, heavier. He stepped forward. "That rope's been tied off for a decade." She grabbed it anyway, hand over hand, pulling slow. The rope groaned. Then the bucket surfaced, caked in silt and mildew. The girl flinched. He saw it next. Hair, long, dark, braided tight, tangled around the crank. He froze. "That's not—" The teen didn't blink. "It is." "No, she braided it herself. That morning." His voice cracked. "How would you know that?" "She told me." He stepped back. "Don't play." "She tied it while standing by this well. Said you wouldn't come out of the house." He shook his head. "She wouldn't leave that here." "She didn't leave it. They put it there." He grabbed the rope and hauled the bucket up himself. It hit the edge with a thud. Hair fell in a loop over the stones, still braided, still neat. He stared, reached out with a trembling hand and picked it up. His legs gave slightly. The teen steadied him. He dropped to the ground, braid in his lap, hands shaking. She used to say no one ever listened unless her hair was braided, like it made her more official. "She braided it for the hearing," the teen said. He nodded slowly. "And for the funeral. That little girl—" "The one no one claimed." He held the braid like a rope back to something he didn't know how to face. "She was going to testify again." He whispered. "Said she found new records, names the sheriff buried. And now her hair's what's buried." "No," he said. "It floated." The younger girl crouched beside him. Why would they leave it in the well? "To say they could," the teen answered, "that they owned even the parts she cut off." He stood slowly. "I walked to the pump, filled the tin cup, hold it under the spout until it overflows. Then I drank. The water was stale, sour with rust, but he drank the whole thing." The teen watched. "Does that prove something?" He didn't answer. His hands shook. She stepped closer. "Your past ain't buried. It's drowning." He set the tin down. "I drank from that well every day. Before. And after." He stared at the stones. "Never again." The girl touched the braid. She left this like a trail. A trail to what? Truth or a body? He turned on her. "You think she's down there?" "No." "Then what's the point?" "She's not the one drowning." He looked back at the water. "I didn't stop them." "You didn't tie the knot, but you held the rope." The wind shifted, dry heat brushing over the back of his neck. He looked to the trees. Nothing moved. He whispered, "I thought if I stayed quiet, they'd let her walk away." She didn't walk. She disappeared. "I didn't know they'd do that." "They always do that." The braid sat coiled at his feet, like a question left too long unanswered. The younger girl picked up the tin cup and dipped it again, hold it out to him. "Drink again," she said. He shook his head. "Drink," she repeated. He took it, drank. His lips trembled against the rim. "She said water remembers." The teen murmured. He wiped his mouth. "What does it remember?" "Pain, names, faces. It forgets lies." He turned to the well. She was brave. She thought that'd be enough. It never is. The teen wrapped the braid in cloth and held it out. "Keep it." He hesitated. "She said you'd need it before the end." He took it, pressed it to his chest. "I didn't bury her." "But you never looked." He nodded. They walked back toward the house. The younger girl paused once, looked over her shoulder. "The well's still whispering," she said. He didn't turn around. Inside, he placed the braid on the mantel. Didn't light a fire, didn't speak. I didn't sleep, only sat in the chair that still wouldn't rock, and listened to the sound of water that hadn't flowed in years. The song started just after midnight, not the full melody, just the shape of it. 4 notes cracked and slow, like someone humming through broken teeth. He opened his eyes. Stillness in the room. The fire is long gone. The girl's upstairs, but the sound didn't come from above. It came from below. He sat up, boots half-tied, heart already racing. The cellar door was cracked open. Just an inch. He hadn't touched it in years. He moved slowly, no lantern, no coat. Just the sound and the cold air climbing the stairs. Each step down was softer than it should have been. She stood there, the older girl, silent, facing the far end of the cellar where a square of wood lay flush with the dirt. The trapdoor. He stopped at the bottom stair. "Why are you down here?" Her voice was flat. "She's singing again." "That's not—" He cut himself off. The air in the cellar didn't feel right. Heavy, like it knew something he didn't. The younger girl stood near the wall, fingers pressed against the brick. "She sings when it's cold." He stepped forward. "You shouldn't be here." "You locked her under there, didn't you?" the teen asked. His voice rose. "That's enough." She turned to him. "You never opened it." "There's nothing under it." "You sure?" He looked away. "It's just a sealed root cellar." "She said she screamed once, but the house didn't answer." He crossed the room, stood between them and the trapdoor. "Go upstairs." "She bled in this house," the older girl said. "You didn't clean it." "I didn't know she was gone." "She wasn't gone," the younger one said softly. "She was buried." He backed away from the trap. "You two don't know what you're talking about." "She came down here the night before," the teen said. "She carved something." "What?" The girl knelt, brushed aside a film of dust near the trap's edge. A word was carved into the wood, just deep enough to catch the light. "Stay." He crouched, touched the edge of the letter. "She never said goodbye." "She wasn't allowed to." "I didn't stop them." Number U just stood still. The cellar creaked overhead, the sound of old wood remembering. "You think I put her under here?" he asked. "I think you didn't ask where they took her." He looked at the new trapdoor. The hinges were rusted, the lock still bolted. She had records, notes, names from the orphanage, from the sheriff's books. He stared down. "She said it was dangerous." "And you told her to keep quiet." He nodded once. The teen stepped beside him. "Then it's your silence down there, not hers." He reached into his pocket, pulled the key from the ring. It hadn't been used in a long time. "Are you going to open it?" she asked. He hesitated. "And if I do?" "You'll know if you killed her." He swallowed hard, fit the key in, turned. The lock popped. The air shifted. He pulled the trap open. The dirt below was undisturbed. No stairs. Just a hollow square of cold earth. Nobody. No bones. But the song came louder, only for a moment, then gone. He stared into the dark. "She's not there," he whispered. "She was," the older girl said. He looked back at her. "She said the worst part wasn't pain. It was how quiet it got." He nodded. "She used to sing through everything. Courtrooms, funerals, that rocking chair, even when no one listened." "You did," the little girl said. He blinked. "You just stopped answering." He lowered himself to sit on the edge of the trap, legs dangling into the cold. The word "stay" pressed against his thigh. "She told me I was her last hope," he said. "I thought that was flattery." The teen didn't speak. "I didn't know how much truth could weigh." "You do now." He touched the dirt. "She used to dig, said the earth forgave faster than people." "Then maybe that's why she left something here." He stared down into the dark. "Do you hear her now?" The little girl nodded. "She's listening." He closed the door slowly. Didn't lock it. "Come on," he said. "We don't belong down here." They followed him up. At the top, he paused, glanced back. No sound, no breath, no light. But the word she carved glowed faintly in his mind. "Stay." He shut the cellar door. Not all the way. Let it breathe. The Bible wasn't hidden. It sat plain on the shelf. Dust soft and sun faded. The kind you leave untouched not out of reverence, but guilt. The younger girl pulled it down by accident, reaching for something else. The old binding cracked in her hands. Pages fell open. A folded envelope slipped out. She stared at it, quiet. Edges curled, sealed, broken long ago. She handed it to her sister without a word. The older girl opened it slowly, read the top line aloud. Office of the Governor. He looked up from the table. "Where did you find that?" She didn't answer. "I just kept reading." The paper was yellowed, but the ink still held. The signature at the bottom faded into a long slash. Familiar, formal, the governor's name, stamped with the seal. She held it tighter. "It's real." "What does it say?" he asked. She cleared her throat. "To Deputy Ellen Weaver. In light of recent disruptions caused by your actions, and in order to preserve the peace and dignity of this township, I ask for your resignation. In return, I offer the following: silence, security, and exemption from further inquiries. This is not a demand, merely a request for you to stay quiet." The room held its breath. The girl flipped the page over. On the back, red pencil circled the words, "Stay quiet." Once, twice, a third time, deeper. "She circled it," the girl said. "She circled it hard." He stood slowly. "Let me see." She handed it to him, eyes sharp, watching. He held the paper like it might bite. "She never showed me this." "She didn't have to," the girl said. "You already knew." His voice came soft. "She told me they asked her to back off, but I didn't know it came from him." "She kept the letter," the teen said. "That's not a resignation. That's a threat." He ran a hand over his face. "I told her to leave it alone. She didn't." He looked down at the Bible. She folded this between scripture. The little one sat cross-legged on the floor. "Which page?" He opened the Bible where it had fallen. Psalms, chapter 82. "Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy." He swallowed. She bookmarked justice. She marked silence. The teen replied. He sat back down, the paper trembling in his hand. They tried to buy her off. She kept the receipt. The girl leaned forward. "What did you do when she showed you the bruises?" "I took her picture. Send it to the sheriff." "And?" "They said she bruised easily. Said maybe she hit a wall." "Did you believe that?" "I tried to." The girl's voice dropped. "You looked away." He stared at the circled words. "She said they threatened to make her disappear." "I thought she was being dramatic." "She wasn't." The little one asked, "Is that why you burned her clothes?" He flinched. I thought if I could clean the house of her pain, maybe it'd stop haunting me." The teen looked down. She circled that threat in red. She wanted it remembered. He stood up fast, shoved the chair back. "She should have run." She stayed. She should have screamed louder. She did. He went to the cabinet, pulled open a drawer. Inside, more papers, files, statements, all the names she had written down, dates, quotes, court clerks, victim initials. He laid them out on the table. The girls stared. "You kept these," the teen said. "I didn't know what to do with them." "You didn't destroy them." "No." "That's something." He sat again. "She said the system wouldn't hold up to daylight." "Did she ever tell you what they did to the youngest one?" He closed his eyes. "Only once, in the dark, while the porch rocked." She said it out, loud, the teen whispered, "and no one did a thing." "She cried in her sleep for a week." The girl nodded. Then she went silent. He looked down at the letter. This wasn't asked. This was a warning. She got too close. She got too loud. She got too real. The little one pointed at the red circles. "That looks like blood." The Bible stayed open, the letter laid across its spine like an apology no one mailed back. The teen said, "They erased her with paper." "And I let them," he whispered. "No," she said. "You're still holding it." He looked up. She circled it because she knew someone would read it after. She wanted them to see the shape of her silence. He folded the letter again, pressed it into the Bible, then paused. He took it back out, slow, tore it once, then again. 3 clean pieces. "Not this time," he said. He walked to the stove, lit the flame, hold the pieces to the fire, one by one. The girls watched in silence. "She spoke loud enough," he said. "Now it's my turn." The paper curled, blackened, gone. He turned back to them. She didn't resign. She resisted. The teen said, And I'll finish it. He stepped out onto the porch, rocked the chair. This time it moved. Behind him, the stove crackled, and the silence wasn't hers anymore. She walked ahead of them, sure-footed and silent, like she knew the trail long before he ever laid it. The ridge sat beyond the orchard line, past the dry creek where wild grass swallowed old paths whole. He hadn't gone that way in years. The ground felt different, hushed, like it remembered what people didn't. The teen stopped at a break in the trees. "It's here." He caught up, breathing heavily. "What is?" She pulled back a veil of brush with both hands. Behind it, wood, weathered, splintered, a frame, tall, upright. The rope still hung from the crossbeam, frayed at the bottom, like someone changed their mind too late. He stared. "You knew this was here." She showed me. "Who?" "Your wife." He stepped closer, the ground soft underfoot. The wind caught the rope and twisted it slowly. It made no sound. "She used to walk out here," he said. "I thought it was for air." She was looking at her ending. "No one ever said they built this." They didn't have to say it. They just made sure she saw it. He moved to the base. A stool lay tipped over, half buried in dirt. He reached down and pulled it free. She stood here. She refused to kneel. He looked at the wood. A knot was carved into the side, just a circle, crude, deep. "I never saw this." "You never looked." The younger girl joined them, peering up at the beam. "Why would they leave it up?" He answered without thinking. "Because fear doesn't rot like wood." The teen said, "They built it for her." Said she talked too much, fought too hard. She did both. They hated her for it. They admired her too. "No," she said. "They feared her. That's not the same." He ran his hand along the post. "I remember the week she testified. She wouldn't sleep. Sat at the kitchen table with those files circling names. Said if she stopped, they'd win. They tried to stop her anyway." He looked at the rope. "They built this for her." "Yes. And no one used it." The girl's voice was quiet. "Not yet." He looked at her. "What's that mean?" "It means the threat never left. It just waits." The younger girl crouched, fingers in the dirt. "Can ghosts forget their names?" He knelt beside her. "Only if we let them." She looked up. "Did you forget hers?" He didn't answer. "She whispered it to me," the girl said, "when I was dreaming. Said it was really soft." He nodded slowly. "Ellen." The teen said it next. "Ellen Weaver." He stood again. I looked at the frame. She said her mother named her after fire. The teen added, "Not because it burned, but because it remembered." He touched the knot in the stool again. "I should have burned this." "She left it for you to find." "To punish me." "To remind you." He stared at the gallows. "I thought I had time. To fix things. To make it right." "You did." He turned. "Then why does it feel too late?" "Because you stood quiet while they measured her neck." The sun pushed down through the trees, just enough light to outline the structure. It looked smaller than it should, like it shrank under the weight of its own shame. "She came home the day after they built this," he said. "Stood on the porch and asked me if I'd still love her when the whole town turned." The teen said, "Did you?" He didn't respond. The rope twisted again, slower this time, lazy. "She said justice doesn't need permission," the girl whispered. He looked to the sky. "Then why does it come so late?" "Because men delay it." He turned back to the frame. "It needs to come down." The girl nodded. "Then tear it down." He reached for the beam. Yanked once. It didn't budge. The teen stepped beside him, pulled too. They worked together. The wood cracked. Nails gave. The younger girl watched from the grass, silent, her hands in her lap. The post fell with a thud that echoed too far. He dropped to his knees, covered in dust and splinters, breathing hard. "She stood tall," he said. "She never had a choice." He looked at the rope one last time, then cut it from the beam, coiled it. She'd want this burned. She'd want it remembered. "I'll do both." The girl stared at him. "You didn't stop them, but you can start now." He nodded. They left the frame in pieces, buried the stool, took the rope, and walked home under a sky that said nothing, but carried her name anyway. The mirror had always hung crooked in the bedroom. His wife tilted it that way on purpose, saying she didn't trust straight reflections. After she vanished, he left it untouched, covered it once with a cloth, then uncovered it again. Couldn't decide which silence hurt more, the kind that stared back, or the kind that didn't. The older girl stood by it now, arms crossed. What's behind it? He looked up from the dresser. Nothing. She tilted her head. Then why nail it into plaster? Because that's what she wanted. The girl reached behind the frame and tapped the wall. Hollow. Leave it alone. She left something here. I can feel it. The younger one stood in the doorway, watching. Quiet. I said. The teen pulled hard. The mirror popped from its mount with a dry groan. Behind it, a square cut into the drywall, sloppy edges, a wooden panel set loose. She pulled it open. Inside sat a revolver. Black, heavy, clean. His wife's initials were etched into the grip. He moved fast, stepped forward like the gun might vanish if she touched it first. He took it from the cavity with both hands. Loaded, he said. The teen said nothing. He flipped the cylinder. 6 rounds. All there. No dust. Did she ever fire it? The girl asked. No. Then why keep it ready? He stared down at the weapon. She didn't want to forget she could. The younger girl stepped closer. She could have used it. She didn't. The teen's voice sharpened, so she waited for someone else to. He looked at her. This isn't yours to dig up. She was mine, too. He gripped the handle tight. She didn't tell you everything. She told me enough. His hand shook. She trusted me. She trusted you to speak, and you stayed quiet. He lowered the gun. I didn't kill her. She stepped forward. But you watched them try. He backed up. You watched them drag her name through the courthouse, saw them print lies, heard them whisper she was losing her mind. And you did nothing. I didn't know what to do. You held your tongue. That's what you did. He raised the revolver, not pointed, just held. Between them, heavy and full of what-ifs. She kept this ready, he said, for protection. The girl didn't blink. Then who protected her? He stared down at it. I could have fired it. You still can. He looked up, startled. Go on, she said. Finish what they started. What are you talking about? You're the last one holding a loaded weapon in a house full of ghosts. His voice cracked. I don't want to hurt anyone. You already did. I didn't pull any trigger, but you never stood in the way of theirs. He set the gun on the bed. It sank into the quilt like it belonged there. She said they'd come for her eventually, he whispered, and she wasn't scared of them, just scared no one would remember why. The younger girl sat on the floor beside the bed. She whispered names into the pillow at night. We still hear them. The older girl knelt and opened the nightstand drawer. Inside, a folded page. She wrote something. He turned. What is it? The girl handed it to him. It was short, block letters, no greeting. If they come for me, let them. But if you stay quiet, you become them. Below that, a line drawn in red pencil, the same one she used on the governor's letter. He dropped into the chair by the wall. I thought I had more time. She thought you'd use what you had. He looked at the revolver again. 6 bullets, 6 names. She didn't need to use them. Then why keep it loaded? The girl stood. Because she never believed safety came without readiness. He reached for the gun. Hold it up to the light. It gleamed. No dust. No decay. She checked it often. Every Sunday, he said. Before church. She carried it. Number she left it here. Said God didn't want steel. Just the truth. Maybe he needed both. The wind outside knocked once against the window. The curtains shifted. He stared out across the yard, toward the ridge, where they'd torn down the gallows. She didn't shoot, he said. She didn't run. She waited. For what? For you. He stood slowly, held the revolver close. Do you think she'd still recognize me? The teen stared. Do you still recognize yourself? He walked out of the room. They followed. He placed the revolver on the kitchen table, sat across from it. I watched it. She didn't keep it to kill, he said. She kept it to remind me. To remind who? He met her eyes. Herself. The teen nodded. And now it's your turn. He folded her letter beside the gun. Didn't fire a shot. I didn't need to. The weight of what wasn't done was louder than any bullet. They walked into town barefoot, dust on their ankles, red at the edges. The older girl held the little one's hand, steady and sure. He followed behind. Not close, not far, just enough to hear the tune as they started humming. He hadn't heard it out loud in a long time. Not since the trial, not since she stood in the courthouse, badge pinned to her chest, voice clear enough to make the floorboards creak. The girls sang it low at first, just 4 notes. The rhythm is slow, ancient. It stopped the men at the feed store. The blacksmith froze mid-hammer. A woman pulling laundry paused with her hands still wet. By the time they reached the governor's steps, half the town was watching. The courthouse loomed behind them, big and whitewashed, like a lie someone kept repainting. The girls stepped up together. The sun caught their faces, and then they sang. Not hums, not whispers, words. Words she had once screamed in a wooden room full of men in hats who wouldn't meet her eyes. Truth don't die when you bury her mouth. She walks in on the daughter who knows. He stopped at the base of the steps, breath gone. His badge sat heavy in his pocket. The metal is warm, burning. The governor's door opened. 2 men stepped out, guns at their hips. Coats are stiff. One looked at the older girl like she was a problem that needed correcting. The other looked past her, to him. They didn't speak. The girls kept singing. Truth don't break when you silence her name. She waits on the floorboards below. The younger one's voice cracked once, but she didn't stop. Her sister reached for her hand. A man near the bank muttered something. Another spit in the dirt. A third stepped forward and raised his rifle an inch. "Lower it," someone said. No one knew who. The gun trembled, then dropped. No one else moved. The girls kept going. She said the fire remembers the match, even after the smoke goes cold. The first guard looked to the second. "Are you hearing this?" The second nodded. Loud. "Orders." "Wait." He stepped forward now, close enough to the steps that the girls could see his hands. Empty. The song thinned. The teen watched him, still singing, but her eyes locked with his. Truth don't fade when the papers burn. She's carved in the hands that hold it. He reached into his pocket, pulled the badge. Hold it up, not to them, to the courthouse. The sun hit it, the heat of it sharp against his palm. "Ellen Weaver," he said loud enough for every man on the street to hear. "Deputy wife, witness, buried in silence by this town." The girls went quiet. He faced the governor's door. "You sent the letter." No answer. "You said if she stayed quiet, she'd be safe." Still nothing. "She didn't stay quiet, and she's still louder than you." He tossed the badge onto the courthouse steps. It clattered once, then spun, then stilled. The teen picked it up, faced the crowd. "This belonged to the woman you tried to erase." The younger one stepped beside her. She remembered every name you forgot. The man with the rifle stepped back into the shadow of the door. Another guard lowered his eyes. "She didn't vanish," the older girl said. "You did. One lie at a time." He stood silent as the crowd moved. Some left, some stayed. The girls sat on the steps, feet tucked beneath them, humming again. Just the tune, now. Lighter, but the kind that sticks in the bone. Someone started crying. A woman near the edge of the crowd. She didn't hide it. He sat on the ground beside the stairs. Didn't speak. Didn't move. Just listened. The governor never came out. The badge stayed in the girl's lap. And the courthouse, for the first time in years, sounded like a funeral no one could stop. They got home before sundown. The road was still quiet behind them. No one followed. No one stopped them. The air had changed, like the town exhaled for the first time in years. But here, at the edge of his land, everything felt still. Too still, until the chair rocked. Once. Twice. No wind, no footsteps, just motion like it remembered. He stopped at the porch steps. The revolver sat heavy in his coat. The same coat she wore when she read names into a room full of men who never spoke again. He touched the collar. The fabric was faded now. Thinner, like everything she left behind. The girls walked past him, quiet, not scared. The older one set the badge down on the windowsill like it belonged there. The little one brushed her hand against the porch rail. "She sat here," the child said, "before the rope was tied." He nodded. "She said it was the only place that didn't lie." The chair rocked again. Once, then still. He sat between them, not in the chair, on the steps. The revolver rested beside him. "She's not coming back," he said. The teen didn't look at him. "She never left." He stared at the floorboards. "I buried her with my silence. She asked you to speak. Don't die." "I didn't know how." "Then learn." The little one leaned her head on his arm. She said it wasn't your voice she missed. It was your fight. He looked at the chair. I thought if I waited long enough, maybe. Waiting isn't love, he nodded. She said that too. The fire in the stove crackled from inside, not loud, but steady, the kind of warmth that didn't ask for anything in return. The older girl stood and walked inside, came back with the letter pieces and the ones he burned but hadn't thrown away. Ash folded into cloth. She handed it to him. She circled and stayed quiet. The girl said, but she never obeyed. She left it as a dare, or a warning. He opened the cloth, black flakes, bits of red, nothing legible, and yet he still knew every word. I should have gone with her to town that day, he said. She asked. You said no. I said I was tired. The teen sat again. She was too. The little one whispered, but she still went. He looked at them. I keep thinking of the gallows. Don't, the teen said. That was for her body, not her name. But they would have. They didn't. He nodded, because she outlived their silence. She outlived their threat. The sun dipped low. Shadows stretched across the porch, long and slow, like arms trying to hold something they no longer deserved. He picked up the revolver, opened the cylinder, 6 rounds, same as before, untouched. I kept this like a confession. She kept it like a memory, the teen said. He shut it again, set it down on the step beside him. The chair creaked. He turned, empty, but not still. She sat there after. Court, he said. Didn't speak, just rocked. The child hummed low, the old tune again. 4 notes, slower this time. Same song she sang in court, the teen said. She sang it to the girls, he whispered, before they gave testimony. She sang it to herself, so her hands wouldn't shake. The porch wrapped around them like a story finishing its last page. He looked at the badge on the windowsill. They used to call her the Quiet Flame. The older girls smiled. They never understood what fire really does. He leaned back, eyes half closed. Burns? No, she said. Reminds me. The wind picked up slightly, enough to lift a single strand of hair from the younger girl's brow, enough to nudge the rocker just once. He reached forward, placed a hand on the chair. Thank you, he said. The chair stopped. She didn't need it anymore. The fire inside stayed lit. The girls fell asleep, leaning on either side of him. He stayed up, listening. To the wind. The boards. The silence that wasn't silence anymore. In the morning, the chair still sat on the porch. Empty. Rocking. Just once. Like a goodbye that never really left.